Okay, here we are. Hello everybody, and hello to you, Kevin. Thank you for your response. Really appreciate it. I thought I would just, I go through this stuff and I'm thinking, well, should I plan it out? Should I go in any kind of particular direction? And I figured, no, I always fuck myself up so much when I do that sort of thing. I'm just going to talk, a little discussion from the Southpaw, a gift from my youngest brother at one time some years back, still cherished. Sorry if that makes a lot of noise. The microphone is right by the cup. Hope you're doing well. Really enjoyed that response. And yeah, there is a real appreciation for the diversity that a lot of people have in the way that they see things, or even how they present it. It's interesting, what triggers particular elements of a person, and what particular elements of a person triggers thinking or thought processes or memories. So the way that you and I have both responded to CanadianAtheist was a nice demarcation of that, I thought. So yeah, I appreciate where you're coming from in that respect. Interesting, some of the things we were talking about, becoming stoic at the age of 12 years old. The idea of an on-off switch with the emotional faculties. And in a sense, yeah, I can see where you say there is an on-off switch. You can turn it off. But you put the qualifier in, which is a good thing, because I thought you don't really turn them off. You just kind of block them. I guess it is kind of like a switch to certain respects. Excellent analogy with the reserve tank. It has to go somewhere. The flow doesn't really, in a sense, saying the flow doesn't really stop. It's still there. And when you're switching off, you're not really switching it off. You're basically diverting it to that reserve tank, which, if we don't install a safety relief valve, will blow. And that was a great analogy. And a lot of people, they use alcohol as a safety relief valve, because I've heard a lot of people talk, and a few people who have been alcoholic friends, they said one of the reasons they drink is for that release of emotions that they don't feel that they can do when they're sober. Now I find it kind of interesting that was just listening to Jesus, and for those who don't know, Zombeepictureshows, that's his name, and he was talking about drinking in order to oh, hi Jesus, I know you're probably watching. I saw that video. That was a good video too. Interesting. But he was talking about drinking in order to bring back memories of his son, and that was so bang on in a lot of respects. In correlation with the idea of releasing emotions. Like I said, I am very, it used to be a suspicion, but now I'm pretty sure I've got solid confirmation in what happened to me when in 2010 suddenly there was a lot of emotional angst and whatnot that came back to me, and it brought back a whole slew of memories from way back when. The idea of having emotions connected to memories, and the idea of drinking in order to release the emotions, or the idea that a person drinks in order to remember something, and some people drink in order to forget. Isn't that interesting? Where was it? The pauses, the thinking. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I kind of was referencing, is your sincerity. It is that. I don't have a script. I'm just talking to you. And yes, when you were speaking about that particular topic to Canadian Atheist, it was something that you were already familiar with. So it didn't take a lot of pauses or anything, because it was all there at the forefront, all the connections. And I didn't mean to say that you were strictly ire and that was the only thing that was being presented. It's just the ability to be at home with that emotion. And sometimes that's the only emotion a lot of people are at ease with, because it's the one that a lot of society seems to say, that's okay. Men can't cry, they can't feel, they can't have some sort of relationship to their own emotional states. The soft ones are for softies, that sort of thing. Ire and anger, those are manly emotions, those are the things you as a man are supposed to feel. Tears and whatnot are not. Tears supposedly being one of those signs of weakness, which I disagree with completely. I think there's a strong case to be made for tears. Okay, I guess there's a certain context and whatnot for that too, but that sort of thing being a sign of strength, that a person can feel that deeply about any particular subject, topic, and not be afraid of those emotions. And that's one of the funny things, if a person is afraid to feel, are they really giving a sense of strength? The reference to being stoic, I had become repressed. And it's a funny thing about repression. You can be repressed, but you can still express emotions. It's that idea that some people think that repression simply means nothing whatsoever, but it's not necessarily the case. Like you were talking about the reserve tank, its blowing is basically when the emotions come out in an inappropriate fashion at inappropriate times, and the situation can be so mild and mundane, and the person is really overreacting. All of a sudden something comes out, it's not called for, but having a measure of not control, but awareness of your own self, your own emotional states, your own feelings about things, and basically simple as that. And there's a very strong case to be said for it. And I've heard this in some, and I'm sorry I don't have the references or anything, I've heard where there have been experiments done to show that emotions are very critical to being able to access memory locations in the mind, that without it one cannot recall a lot of things. So yeah, being connected to your emotions also means being connected to your memories. It's an interesting correlation. This is just going to be an ongoing discussion as we go along. I'm not necessarily putting any kind of freeze or topic or anything on. Let's just talk. I enjoy that. And I'm reaching my limit, so I'm going to stop here. And we'll talk later. Ta-ta for now. Take care.